he didn't go to church, he didn't go to mosque. He had his reasons, but he had very strong values. More than those who probably went to church, who went to mosque. And you begin to wonder, is it possible, even outside of religion, to find those values that rather bind us than divide us, those values that edify society?
Thank you very much for putting that background. To be honest with you, I think sometimes we, on our own, look down at our values, not knowing that we have those very important values even before we knew religion. The value of accommodation, the value of tolerance, loving your brother. And in Africa, you know, we end up these conversations with some adage and said, two brothers can eat without the bright light, showing that there's trust. I don't need to put light to eat with my brother because I believe there's nothing evil he's going to do to me. And when you bring your food to the table or in the market square for us to eat and people come to eat, do not mean that they don't have food in their homes. It's simply to show that we are together. So we have those values that were there. Religion came to help us improve in those values. But you know, we sometimes just want to condemn what we do. I think it's not faith that teaches me to greet an elder. I grew up in a house to know that every other person that is senior to me is a senior. I should respect him. And my mother's sisters, I didn't learn how to respect them as my aunties because of religion. The fact that English taught me to call them aunties. But in my home, I should call them mama because they are my mother's sisters. Even my mother's younger brother is still also my father. I don't call him uncle. It's English that started teaching me to call him uncle. But in our traditions, we don't even know what is an uncle. He's just a father. And then respect was there. Love was there, acceptance was there. So we have those values. And religion comes to further, and you know, sometimes when we teach this, Jesus says, he didn't come to set aside the laws, but to fulfill them. Those things we learn about law, when you read the Ten Commandments, when you say, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not do this. No tradition tells you to kill. No tradition tells you to take somebody's wife or take somebody's property. No. So those values are there. And unless we go back to it, and you know, because we have abandoned those values and try to use faith to simplify certain things, and that's where we are today. Because we earlier were discussing when we listened to one of the conversations about the newspaper review of people buying phone, something like that, for Yahoo, and we say, wow, you can see how bad our country is. Because if you grew up, we call a thief a thief. So nobody wants anybody to call any member of your family a thief. Two, if you have a disabled person in your house, you don't even want people to laugh at you that he'll go out and be begging. So you make sacrifice to ensure he feeds, make sacrifice to ensure he goes to school, make sacrifice to ensure things work well. So those were values that we didn't really learn them from faith. But with faith, we're supposed to have improved them. So I want to speak to Nigerians that, look, in every Nigerian culture, with the numbers of tribes we have, with the regions we have, with the different dialects we have, there are values that you associated with your tribe that are, look, they are universal principles. That's why in our place we talk about universal values, the values that do not change because of identity, because of location. They are human values. And unless we emphasize that, we won't go anywhere. Do you know that people who do not go to church and mosque are more honest than those of us who go to church and mosque? The fact that, no. Yeah, I understand what you mean by some, yes. But let me just clarify quickly, then I stop. The truth is that the sense to be honest and want to ensure that you don't take what belongs to you is enshrined in some of those things we abuse than even those of us who claim to go to church and mosque. We're supposed to say yes, yes, and no, no. But in reality, even when we're saying yes and no, we're not honest. So why don't we understand that every human being has something he brings to the table, and he brings it from an understanding of how he was brought up. So when we train our children with those values, then they later go to mosque and church, it becomes super sacrificial and helpful to the society.